Hello and welcome to another one of these addiction and recovery video blogs. And what I thought I would talk about today is this thing about how to actually get sober. And this is something that a lot of us, it took me a very long time to eventually get it, and how to get sober. And I had all these very strange ideas, which other people might have as well, about the whole thing. This is a question that people frequently email me about and ask me, advice about how they actually stop drinking or stop using drugs. And it's a big question. It is the question, but there is an answer to it. And the great thing is, what I found is, it took me a long time to actually believe that there was an escape from addiction. But the good news is that there is, and I'm 100, because I could see other people were able to escape addiction, but I never was really sure if I could really do it. Sure, I could stop for a while, but I mean, I sort of had this sneaky suspicion that somehow I'd always end up back in the mess again. But the good news is that there really is a way out, and it can work for anybody. I really do believe that. And the secret ingredients is this thing called willingness. And if we are willing, we really can escape addiction. And there's this sort of thing in sort of recovery circles. I heard it a lot, and I believed it for a very long time, that we have to sort of reach a rock bottom before we can get better. And this was something that nearly killed me. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's wrong, but it's just not. It's not right either. For the simple reason is, I hit some very low points in my life. I spent a year nearly suicidal every night. I'd cry when I'd wake up the next morning. I also sort of had times when I ended up with no money on the streets begging at one stage in my life. So these were great lows. How low can you go? And I suffered great mental torture, and these things weren't getting me sober, or they weren't keeping me sober. So waiting for this magical low point to come, this magical rock bottom, is suicidal. It's a suicidal thing. So what I found is you have to sort of bring the sort of bottom to you, And even it doesn't even have to think, but basically what it is, we have to become, if we're willing enough, if we have enough reason to quit addiction, we will quit addiction. It's as simple as that. And so our job, if someone is still using drugs, or still drinking, their job is to sort of get to a point where they're willing to stop and to have enough good reasons to stop. And the good reasons are definitely there. If you sort of there's plenty of things there. What worked for me was meditation. I used meditation sort of, extensively during my sort of attempts at recovery, and I use it now. It's a very important part of my life now. And people sort of say, well, if meditation is that good, why didn't it sort of, why didn't you stop drinking all those years you were using it? But the thing about meditation, it gave me this clarity of mind. And the more I experienced this sort of, this mind, free of addiction, the more I wanted it. And shortly, about a year before, just about a couple of years before I eventually got sober, one thing that really changed me was this meditation retreat I attended in Chiang Mai in Thailand. I live in Thailand now, and it's a different part of the country. But this meditation retreat was for 26 days, and it was very intensive. And I managed to sort of get through withdrawals and get off the drink to go experience this retreat. And for this, at the end of that 26 days, my mind felt completely free, and it was such a great feeling. It was so crystal clear. But I did fall into addiction again. Now, it might be easy to sort of say, well, that was a failure, but it really wasn't, because that seed was planted there, and 2 years later, when I ended up in Tam Kabok, it came to fruit, because by then I was ready. I could see what was possible. And during that time, I'd also got periods where I tried to meditate. I would try to stop drinking, and I tried to meditate. And I could see that this thing really did work, and that was possible to have a free mind and a clear mind. And once you know that, and so that's the sort of job of the practicing addict, is to prove to yourself, is to sort of get these glimpses of what is possible. And the more you glimpse these things, the more you want them, and eventually that willingness will come. Because the reason the reason people relapse, or the reason sort of people fail when trying to quit, is because they just haven't the determination. There isn't enough determination there. It's like they say this thing about not having enough sort of money in the spiritual bank, and it is sort of like that. You have to sort of, maybe you don't want to use the word spiritual, but that's one way of looking. But you have to have enough reason to want to quit, and if you have enough reason, you will quit, and you will stay quit, and and it doesn't have to be meditation. It could be anything, as long it's experiencing a different way of life, and believing, that this is possible to have sort of long term. Like, so, one thing that really helped me as well, like, was reading sort of about people who had got sober and who are positive about like being in recovery. That helped me. And these days there's so much more. There's all these sort of you got YouTube, you have all these blogs. People are talking about how good it is in recovery, and it's this is very, very good stuff. Because the more people in addiction surround themselves with this positive, good stuff, the more it will help them. And eventually that determination will be there. But there's sort of no point in waiting for some magical day to come. You have to sort of be proactive, and because recovery, it is so great. I'm not. This is not bullshit. This is this is the real deal. My life today there's no comparison. There really is no comparison. That mental torture is gone. Now, sure, I have bad days. I have days when I have worries like everybody else. But it's a different league, and it's easy for me to sort of become ungrateful and sort of I can sort of compare where I want to be rather than where I've come from. And that's, like so some of the things that have happened to me is miraculous. And, I've had such great times in recovery. I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about amazing times, really something I wouldn't even have dreamt of when drinking. And this is like, this can be, anybody can have this. Addiction leads nowhere. And once we get, so it's the job of the addict to get the determination. And that's how you quit. That's how you quit booze. You get the determination. You build up your strength. And it's the same for anything. If people want to do anything, you have to build up that determination, because anything that's really, really worthwhile takes effort. And you have to sort of have that effort. Like, staying an addict takes no effort, and that's how people do it. It's easy to do that. It's easy to be a failure, because that's what an addict is. But we can get beyond that easily. Once we get that determination. And once you have the determination, nothing can stop you. And you have to be sort of willing to do whatever it takes. So, it's very, very similar. Becoming a person in recovery is very similar to, becoming a success at anything. You work hard, you become focused, and you become determined, and you do it, and you make it happen. And it's the same sort of thing. And you don't sort of, you don't even consider failure. So that was just a bit today on how to get sober. I hope that helped somebody. Please visit my website, paulgarrigan.com, paulgarrigan.com, where I talk about my life in recovery and lots of other things as well. So thank you for watching. Goodbye.